Hey guys, this is Lil with another raid video. Carrying on the series, I'm still in the same jumper because for me it's 5 minutes later, for you it's probably a couple of days. Carrying on the series on Hydra, just looking at buffs and debuffs that you need to bring to deal with the Hydra heads that we talked about last time. So just how are you going to counter those torments, those mischiefs, those decays. And again, they're not all going to be in the starting lineup, but the further you get into Hydra, the more likely that one of those is going to pop out, and you have no way of knowing which one. You might have a Shamal in your team, so you might be wanting Torment to come out every time, and you can guarantee if you've got Shamal in your team, he's never popping out, in my experience anyway. So, without further ado, let's cut over. Let's talk about the buffs and debuffs that you want to bring for Hydra, the ones that I think are essential for your team, and the ones that I think are good, but maybe not worth a dedicated champ for. Here we go, we're back in my OneNote. Sorry, I know, it's really bright white, isn't it? I'm like nubs like that, so apologies. This is just how I think about and plan things. I use OneNote all the time at work. So, okay, so buffs and debuffs. The single for me, and apologies, I'll see if I can get that a bit bigger, just so it looks a bit less blocky for you guys. There we go. So we'll ignore the nice to haves for now. The essential buffs and debuffs, I think, for your team when you're starting out, or when you're just looking to build your team at all. Number one, block buffs. It's the most important debuff to have up. It just stops all the nasties. It stops the poison clouds, it stops mischief from stealing your buffs if you don't manage to resist the steal, it stops Wrath getting his increased attack, it stops the ally protection and reflect damage going out. Just block buffs should always be on, even if you've got a mischief tank. Personally, some people are just, no, I've got block buffs, I don't need to worry about a mischief tank. Personally, I'm a bring a mischief tank guy. Make sure that block buffs is there for everything else. You want a mischief tank to stop mischief stealing all your buffs and your turn meter. Decreased defense. Maybe I've got this one a little bit high on this list, but you definitely want decreased defense. It's going to up your damage. A reviver. I know lots of people go Hydra without a reviver. I don't think I've ever run intentionally without a reviver. At some point, block buffs is going to drop off. Wrath's going to get increased attack. He's going to wipe out a couple of your DPS, or he's going to wipe out your ally protector, or something's going to go wrong, and you're going to want a reviver. I run Morley in my Nightmare team. The team's quite tanky. It's got 2 Guardian sets in it, and she's a single target revive, and that's fine and it works. But personally, I wouldn't run without a reviver at all. Someone like a Mighty Yuko, where she's a reviver, but she's using her revive, so it'll come round eventually, but in reality you're using that all the time to get the increased speed, is perfect. Arguably, one of the things that I'm going to do soon is put an ally protector in. I don't have a Krisk, who is the sort of quintessential ally protector for Hydra. I did run, in fact I think I ran it this week, I ran Snick Track as an ally protector. It doesn't fit in very well into any of my teams just because of the champs that I've got and the buffs and debuffs that they've got. But I tested him out to see how it went, and now I can't remember how it went. I know it definitely went pretty well. I will load up raids seamlessly in the background and double check how we actually did on that one. Because, there I would say maybe that was a scenario, but for me, I'm always bringing a reviver, personally. Same with a healer. You're going to need heals at some point. And I find that a challenge when you're running a Mighty Yuko as your block buffs champ, is, she doesn't bring healing herself, so I always find her quite squishy. I tend to pair her, the team that I have her in, because I haven't got an Ugo doing the cleanse and the heal. I usually pair her with a Teela, who's then bringing the HP burn, the Hex, and continuous heals, and the leech, because that sort of compensates for the lack of healing there. Let's have a look. How did Sneak Tracks do? I'll cut you guys over. The team I ran with Sneak Tracks subbed in. I can't remember who was in this spot before. Yeah, it did okay. It did 75 million on Brutal, so that's fine. Happy with that. Sneak Tracks, he isn't even fully booked. He's not very well built. I just wanted to test him out, really. I mean, in this team, the problem is that in this team I've got a decrease attack. I've got leech. He just doesn't really fit in very well into any of my teams. But anyway, I'm going to figure out which of my ally protectors I want to do a video on, and then do a video on ally protection in Hydra. So heals, absolutely. Damage, yes. And apologies, if you ever see these icons in my sort of how to build your teams or who are the best champs in these slots, I'm using them. This isn't necessarily a HP burner, this is just a damage dealer. I just use the icons. Now, normally I try and run I always run 3 damage dealers, but that's usually 1 HP burner and 2 damage dealers. So that might be, like we were just looking at, that might be Teela plus Artak plus Royal Guard, or that might be Royal Guard, Husk, Geomancer, or it might be, I keep wanting to say Tylysia, but it's not, it's Tumecia. Tumecia and then Royal Guard, Husk, or Tumecia, Nut, Walking Tomb Drang. Yeah, you've got lots of options there, but 3 ideally damage dealers. Walking Tomb and Teela are really good because they bring HP burn, but then they also bring healing or other debuffs that you're looking for. Okay, decrease attack. Wrath's going to come out at some point. You're going to want decreased attack. You can run without it and hope that you don't get Wrath, or run without it and just hope that Wrath doesn't kill you. And I did that for ages, absolutely. But I did that with a Duchess who's bypassing loads of that damage anyway with her passive. Provoke for dealing with the head of decay, and a Mischief tank. And wherever you see the sort of the small increased defense icon anywhere in my stuff, that means a Mischief tank, which again we spoke about last video, is somebody who's self-buffing, and again ideally you're going to give them a Blood Shield ring and Lightning Cage. So the nice to haves, increase and decrease speed are really tough because I want them in every team. I don't have a lot of good increase decrease speed champs, to be honest, and again it's just one of those, like, who's on your roster is just totally random, right? I've got 2 Shamrocks who are great for this because Shamrock brings increased speed, decreased speed and increased defense, and also conditional buffs, which is actually quite useful. The amount of times that his revive on death has saved me loads of revives is brilliant. So yeah, increased speed and decreased speed can just mean that you just lap the boss so much more. That's why, you know, when we're building champs, we're building them super fast for Hydra. A way to deal with Torment, whether that's Veil, whether that's a Shamal. This is what my main Nightmare team is lacking. Just can't fit it in. I mean, I could drop Royal Guard and take a Shamel, which actually he's been out damaging my my Royal Guard in my Brutal team, so, you know, I could do. Some defensive buffs, yeah, so increased defense, strengthen is really good. You can, excuse me, you can bring Helicath with a block damage, but know that at some point that might get stolen. Hex is actually really good, should be higher up this list. Like I said in my sort of going over my team upgrades, Hex is something that I'm now trying to bring into every comp. Just spreads the damage out. It's really good, and it means that Mischief is a lot easier to deal with as well. Ally Protection, really good. Cleanse and block debuffs, really good. Leech, I would say, again, should be higher up this list, really. I would probably push increase defense, strengthen up, hex up, leech up, veil down, ally protect, and cleanse down. So, you know, they're sort of my three that I don't usually have. I usually have a cleanse because Ugo brings one, but it's not a very you know, it just comes around every now and again. It's not not very consistent. So that's, for me, what I'm trying to get in every team and what you can't get in every team because you just don't have the available slots. So, and to demonstrate, I'll show you. So this is how I plan my teams, and let me flip myself over. Oh, I don't think I've got a. Have I got a flipped version of this? No, I have not. So I'll do it the professional way and drag myself over. There we go. This is how I plan my teams, and I actually, in fact, let me scroll down a little bit. I laid it out a little bit differently because I thought it might be easier to read for people. So this is when I'm picking my team, and then I've got those same debuffs down the side here in roughly the same order. Yeah, the same order, look at that. And then who's bringing it in this team, or is it missing? Yeah, and so, okay, this team is actually my brutal team by the look of it. And you see Shamrock is who I subbed out to put in the snick track this time. So I've got Ugo, Bivald, Tila, Artak, Duchess, and Shamrock. So Shamrock is bringing some healing, he's bringing the increased speed, the decreased speed, and he's bringing increased defense. And then the Duchess is bringing the revive, she's bringing the veil, and she's bringing the block debuffs. She's also bringing a lot of damage mitigation with her passive, but that's not on one of the buffs. So, Artak, damage, decrease attack. Ugo, bringing block buffs, decrease defense, healing. Again, this is just healing, not necessarily continuous heal. Yeah, and you get, and then I go through all of this, and then I can see, right, what am I missing? I'm missing an ally protect. I'm missing, oh, not in this team because Duchess is in here, but in my main team this would be I'm missing the veil. So yeah, everything's missing something unless you've got, you know, the top tier champs, in which case you're probably not watching my video because you probably don't need any help in Hydra because you've got the top tier champs. So that's how I sort of think about it, but how I actually lay it out when I'm looking at my teams is like this. And so I'm very visual, so I put down the buffs and debuffs, and then I go, right, what am I missing? Like this team, yeah, that brutal team that we were just looking at, okay, the Shamrock's here, he's bringing some good stuff, everyone's, you know, I didn't used to have decreased attack in all my teams, but now, you know, between Mishanaki and Artak, guaranteed champ and free login, that's really helping. And in fact now this team, actually I'm going to take Royal Guard out and put Nut in because actually he's been doing really good for me. I will go over my list of top champs, and what I do is for each of these roles I go, right, who's the best champ for this, and do they do other things? So, you know, like Ugo is bringing block buffs and decreased defense and a heal and a cleanse. That's why, and leech on a single target. That's why people say she's the best block debuffs for, probably except for to Hanorag, for Hydra, because she's just filling so many slots there. And that's what it's about. And so in the next video I will go over my top champs for each role and where they fill multiple roles. I've actually split it up since the last time I did it. I've been going through and updating it, and also saying, okay, like, I had too many people on the list, if I'm honest, because it's something that me and my old clan put together when Hydra was first coming out and we were all just starting to figure it out. But there were champs on there that these days you wouldn't think of as very good, like Mordecai. He's fine, but he's not bringing a lot. He's only bringing HP burn. His increase and decrease turn meter, just, it doesn't do anything against the Hydra. It does do for your team a little bit, but Just so there are some champs that are like okay but not amazing. So I've split them into sort of A and B tier. Anyway, guys, that was it. What I'll do is I'll probably find a way to put the images of my buffs and debuff sort of tier list online so that you guys can see it. I hope you liked it. Sorry I ran over a little bit longer than I intended. In fact, I might cut some out of the middle of this. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, like and subscribe. Thanks guys, I'll catch you in the next one.